What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So, do Democrats have an opportunity to take back the Senate in 2026, in the 2026 midterm election? We're going to talk a little bit about this. Now, I've created this tier system. I talked about this about a month ago, where I talked about the different tiers, but now I have an illustration. I want to show you the illustration, and we're going to look at the different states and look at the opportunities that Democrats have to take back control of the Senate. So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. If you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so let's just get right over to our tier system, and then we're going to take a look at the Senate map, and I'll just show you. We'll plug in the numbers, and I'll show you what Democrats need to do in order to take back control of the Senate. But first off, let's go ahead and take a look at the tier system. And so looking at our tier system, you have tier 1, you have tier 2, and you have tier 3. And so in tier 1, these states are leaning towards Democrat, so it leans Democrat. The tier 2, these are toss-ups. These are true toss-ups. And then we look at tier 3. Tier 3, these are leaning for the Republicans, okay? And so let's go ahead and take a look at this. So, and I did this from the strongest possibilities for Democrats to a least likely for Democrats to flip. Okay, so let's take a look at North Carolina. So we know North Carolina right now with Roy Cooper running, I think Democrats are most likely going to be able to win in North Carolina. I mean, all the polling is showing us this. And so I don't think it's going to be very hard for Roy Cooper to win in North Carolina. So I would say that North Carolina is Democrats' best opportunity to flip a seat. Now, when we look at Maine, this will be a little bit harder, and mainly because you have an incumbent. Collins is there. She's a Republican. And now you have either Plattner or Mills running against her, but she is struggling right now. Collins is struggling right now, and I think because Collins is struggling, this could be a good opportunity for Democrats to actually win in Maine. And then when you go back to the 2024 presidential election, Harris won in Maine. And so that does give Democrats a little bit of hope when it comes to Maine. And so there could be a shift that we're seeing, and that shift actually started back in 2024. So that would be second. Now, when we go to third in this top tier, we're looking at Alaska. I think Peltola has a real good possibility of winning in Alaska. She's won statewide before. She's running against Sullivan. Sullivan is an incumbent. He's an incumbent Republican. And so it's not going to be easy for Peltola to win. But looking at some of the latest polling, it is showing Peltola does have a lead, a slight lead within that margin of error, but she is still she's neck and neck with Sullivan, basically. When you're looking at a situation where you have Sullivan as an incumbent and Sullivan's running neck and neck with an opponent, that's not good news if you're an incumbent. That's really not good news. That means that you have people in the state that don't feel that Sullivan should win re-election, is basically. They want someone new. Okay, so that is tier 1. So these 3 states. Now, when we go down to tier 2, as I stated, these would be toss-ups. I think it would go in this order. I think Ohio, I think Sherrod Brown has a real good chance of winning in Ohio. And remember, when we're looking at all the different situations that are going on right now with the conflict in Iran, with the gas prices, with the economy, with the cost of groceries, we have a lot of instability right now. And I think that would actually help Sherrod Brown in this situation because you have an incumbent there. So you have Houston. Houston's running against Sherrod Brown. Houston has to run on President Trump's record, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot that people are upset about with what Trump is doing, and so they might come out and vote against the current administration and vote for Sherrod Brown, or you might have some Republicans that just don't show up. They just don't vote. They say, you know what, we voted for Trump. We thought it was going to be different. Now look at the situation that we're in. We're just not going to participate. So they might not vote for Sherrod Brown, but if they don't come out and vote at all, that is going to hurt Houston. And then on top of that, when we're talking about Ohio, we're talking about Iowa, we're talking about states that have farming. And we know that farmers are struggling right now, and it's only going to get worse because of fertilizer, the Strait of Hormuz. We have a lot of different things that are up in the air right now. And so farmers are now feeling the pinch, and they're blaming President Trump. And they might come out against the current administration, and they will hold these different politicians, these different Republicans that are running for Senate. They're going to hold them responsible for this. Okay, so Ohio, I think, would be our 4th pick here. Now, when it comes to Texas, Texas would be the 5th pick, and this would be in tier 2. Right now, I think Texas is considered a toss-up. You have Tallarico, who's very, very popular right now, running against either Paxton or Cornyn. We'll have to find out what happens in this runoff in May. But I think Tallarico has a real fighting chance of winning in Texas. And we might see a Democrat actually win Texas for the first time in many years. And so I would consider Texas right behind Ohio, or right at pretty much at the same level, basically. So I think Ohio or Texas, when we're looking at both of those races, we're going to see a very, very close races in both states. But I think in Ohio, they're being impacted a little bit more when it comes to our economy and everything, and farming and all that I talked about earlier. And so that gives them just a little bit of a leg up over Texas when it comes to how this might play out. Okay, so that's tier 2. Now looking at tier 3, these lean towards the Republicans already, okay? The reason that I put these on here is because we could see some shifting, and we'll probably do this every couple of weeks. We'll take a look at this because some of these states could shift. Now, Iowa I have on here, and I talked about Iowa and Ohio. They're kind of in that same ballpark in the sense that they're going through some of the same issues together. When it comes to Iowa, Iowa's an open seat. So we're going to have to see how it plays out. Who's going to be running on the Republican side? Who's going to be running on the Democratic side? So once we find that out, we'll have a better idea of where Iowa's going. And Iowa could actually move up to a toss-up, just depending on who the candidates are. And so I would put it at tier 3 right now. When it comes to Nebraska, Nebraska has an independent, Osborne, who's very popular, and he has a chance of winning. Now, Osborne might not caucus with the Democrats. He might not caucus with the Republicans. From what I've heard, that he says he's not going to caucus with either party, but that's still a disruption. That still takes a seat away from Republicans. It takes a seat away from Democrats. And so if Osborne does decide not to caucus with either side, there's still going to be a disruption there. But it's worth mentioning, and that's why I put it at tier 3. We have Montana, and Montana is now an open seat because you had the sitting senator say that he was going to retire. He did it last minute, like 3 minutes before they were, the filing deadline. And so now you have an independent that filed. So an independent's running. You have a Republican that's also running, that's being endorsed by both the outgoing senator and President Trump. And so we'll have to see how that plays out. But now that it's an open seat, you lose that incumbency advantage. And so there is a potential for us to see a shakeup in Montana as well. That could be another independent. We'll have to see how that independent, and most likely from what I'm hearing, that independent would probably caucus with the Democrats over the Republicans, but we would have to see how that would play out. Okay, and then the last one here, South Carolina. I think South Carolina is a sleeper. The reason why I think it's a sleeper, and I put it at tier 3, I know it's leaning for the Republicans, but you have Lindsey Graham, who right now is very unpopular in his state. You have people that they want someone new. They don't like Lindsey Graham anymore. They don't want him. I think it was like 60% of the people who were polled in one of the latest polls said that they don't think that Lindsey Graham should be reelected. 60%. The majority of people that were polled there said that they don't think Lindsey Graham should be reelected. And then Lindsey Graham is doubling down, tripling down on this war, and that could impact his chances as well, because as this war, if it drags on, and we're still talking about this war in August, we're still talking about it in September, October, November, guess what? If it's bad news, if the war drags on that long, it's probably going to be bad news. We're going to probably see a lot of casualties. We're probably going to see a lot of money that's being spent. And so because of that, you might have people going out in South Carolina and voting against Lindsey Graham, because Lindsey Graham is at the forefront when it comes to this whole conflict in Iran. So now let's take a look at the Senate map. And I go over this. I like to do it at the end of the video just so you guys can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about here. And so the first thing that I want to go over is right now, Democrats and independents are at 47. Republicans are at 53. Democrats are going to need 51 seats in order to take back control of the Senate. And so if we look at the tier 1, the tier 1s that we were talking about, that's North Carolina, that's Maine, and that's Alaska. You fill that in, and Democrats are at 50, Republicans are at 50. However, Republicans still maintain control because the vice president is a Republican, so the vice president will come in and break the tie. So that would be tier 1. Now, when we start thinking about tier 2, and remember we said tier 2, those are the states that we consider toss-ups. So we have 2 states, Ohio and Texas. And so if Democrats want to take back control of the Senate, they're going to need to win at least one of the states in our tier 2. So Ohio or Texas. And so I want to ask you in the comments below, which state do you think has the best chance of flipping? Right now, I'm thinking with the experience of Sherrod Brown, I think that Ohio has the best chance. If you're comparing the two, Ohio and Texas, I think it's very close. I think in Texas in the primary, we saw Democrats come out and outperform Republicans just in voting. So I think Democrats are energized. So we could very well see Texas flip as well. But I just think Ohio right now, with Sherrod Brown, he does have experience. You also need to understand when it comes to Houston, Houston was appointed to this position, and this is his first real campaign running for Senate. And so there are going to be some hiccups there. And so Sherrod Brown, he's run for Senate before. He did lose in 2024, but prior to that, he had some victories, so he knows how to win in Ohio, whereas Houston has never done this before running for Senate. And so because of that, I think Sherrod Brown does have an advantage. And so we'll just have to see how it plays out. But if we were just to see this, we see all the tier 1s win, and then we see one of the tier 2s, that would give Democrats 51 and Republicans would be at 49. Democrats would take back control of the Senate. And so now I'm going to pass it off to you. In the comments below, I want you to let me know what your tiers look like. Your tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Let me know that in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.